Thunderbolts suck. Man, let me tell you something. That is just one of the many views that are had in this episode. Well, one of many views that I had feelings of when I was watching that movie, The Thunderbolts. But this isn't purely fixated on the Thunderbolts, because holy soap, man. We talk about a bunch of Marvel-related topics, like that giant hand sticking out of the earth. Yeah, we finally get to address that. And Captain America, Brave New World, we address a very spoiler-centric discussion of Deadpool and Wolverine. Oh yeah, a bunch of things get covered in this episode, a bunch of things. As I'm joined once again by a very valued guest of the show, a returning figure, once more, back from the Shadow Realm, I'm guessing? No, not the Shadow Realm, that's banishment. Back from the land of, I guess, well, the real world, folks. The world beyond the world we live in, right here on this show. You know, the other world that isn't a sugar-coated topping, as Blade would say. We also discuss Blade in this one, and myriad of other things. Xmen, Marvel Cinematic Universe after Phase 5, and so much more in this Moonlight Kingdom Podcast episode in 3, 2, 1. Boom. To ask you, brother, what did you think?
I did. You know, I watched that movie. I was with my cousin. It was like a late night. I enjoyed it, right? But the very end, like you know how movies have, you know, the call to action and, you know, the hero's journey, and, you know, you have this nice little, you know, this like nice little drawing and graph that kind of ends perfectly. I didn't like the climactic battle. I don't think it was worthy of being a battle. Like it was weak for me.
You didn't like
At the time,
them fighting all the Deadpool Corps?
I just felt like it was just so it was samey. You know, it was just a bunch of samey shit. However, not to say I didn't think it was cool. It's cool. You know, I mean, it's Wolverine fighting very different versions of himself. Deadpool, not so much. They're all pretty much Deadpool, you know. There's no black Deadpool, but hey, whatever, that's fine. But it was cool to look at. But did I enjoy it? Yeah, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. That particular scene, not the movie.
Oh.
And when they're, you know, joining hands to stop, you know, the reality wiping explosion or whatever, it did nothing for me. I watched it. I thought something more grandeur would happen. And they just joined hands, and I guess electricity flowed through both of them. Like, it was just that. And then, okay, Wolverine's muscles, his abs. And that was the end of the movie. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, the beginning of the movie was pretty cool in concept and execution. I love the Fox, you know, sign, like the Fox thing in the back of the void, and they were fighting, and that was pretty nice. But as the movie progressed, you kind of saw that it doesn't really have like a purpose. Like, you know, like what? Okay, he's fighting for his reality to not be wiped. Where's Hunter B-15? You know, where's Owen Wilson? Where's Loki? You know, or a Loki bot? Like, where is anyone? Like, why are we dealing with this? You know, a year after Loki.
I mean, we know where Loki is. Loki's in, like, the center of reality.
Yeah, Loki is Yggdrasil, but, like, just, like, why? You know what it feels like? It feels like dealing with Baron von Strucker in Infinity War. You know, it's like, okay, why am I seeing this? Why is Baron von Strucker making a doomsday bomb in Infinity War? Like, didn't we just piece them up a while ago? Like, for me, it was like, what's going on here?
So, Cassandra Nova, in your mind, is on the same league as Von Strucker.
Cassandra was better, but, as a character, she's better. As a character who needed something, she was weak. Because for all of her powers, for all of her reality, warping type of powers and, mental manipulation, she doesn't have enough power to leave this place. Or she does, but she's like using this place like it didn't stick the landing for me.
That was very unclear. I'll say that much, because
it
seemed like she was running the place, but at the same time, it's like,
but she's trapped there, but she's not trapped there because she can easily contact this guy, this like Mobius-esque guy, to like get him out of to get them out of there, but she doesn't. So
she has a sling ring too, so it's like
for me, Cassandra would have been much better utilized, considering it's a Deadpool movie, right? And Marvel owns Fox and whatever. And I would have gotten much more enjoyment out of Cassandra if she was trying to kill Charles Xavier. I mean, usually that's what she's for. It's revenge on Charles, trying to consume her in the womb and stuff. The way that Nova looks, just her physical design, I see her as someone who very well could have been the twin sibling of James McAvoy's Charles Xavier.
Oh yeah.
That's half the reason why I thought she was cast. I thought, hey, okay, this is pretty good. She looks just like a bald-headed James McAvoy. Emma Corvin, whatever her name is, she looks just like James McAvoy. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, cool. So we're gonna see McAvoy's Xavier, and they're gonna have a cosmic, mind-to-mind psychic battle. No, she's just in the void, and she's got some goons that don't really have a lot of cohesion. Like this frog, his pyro. Like, okay,
yeah.
It just wasn't like solid. Like they were there, like they were just there. And Chris Evans, Tony Storm, that was fine. I'm not too mad at that because it was just a cameo. It was like 5 minutes. He probably knocked that out while doing an Apple TV show, right?
Or an Apple movie like Ghosted. I remember that shit.
So I wasn't mad at that cameo. One could argue Johnny Storm doesn't act like that. One would argue he does because he was swearing and stuff and all these things, and obviously the joke being he really did say all that shit, but then also he didn't. That was okay. Like that was funny stuff, ish. But a lot of the Void stuff just kind of fell flat. Loved Blade. That was a very strong cameo. Blade. Pretty good. The tongue-in-cheek joke, whoever wrote that, I will give them their props of there's only one Blade and there's only ever going to be one. A nice little tongue-in-cheek joke about how Blade is taking forever to materialize in production. So
you laughed because you thought it was a good joke. I laughed because I knew it was true.
Yeah. So
That movie's been
I did
quietly
enjoy that.
canceled, but yeah.
Yeah. Um, Jennifer Garner. Not. I mean, it's very clear. It's very evident. No matter which way you slice it, it's so abundantly clear. They try to get her husband, ex-husband. He said no, and they got her instead. It's very clear.
He revealed that they did ask him.
Yeah, like it's very clear. They try to get Daredevil, and I think at some point he was attached, but he dropped out because of something. I don't think it's because he hates Marvel. It's just he just had to drop out because they were like, you might as well get Elektra, like, like it's a consolation prize. So they got her, and she hasn't been working for the past few years, so naturally she just grabbed at the opportunity. I will say, 20 years removed, not bad. But I didn't need it. But not bad. But for me, it didn't really hit me as much because I didn't watch the Elektra movie. Or maybe I did, but it was so long ago, I can't even remember.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Blade. Who else was there? Gambit. 4 words. Too little, too late. Like, Channing Tatum.
He was set to be Gambit for a while.
Very much so. Since like 2009, 2010. Channing Tatum, I love him. He's a good human. He's a good guy. He's a good guy. But he very clearly has the skull of a 45-year-old. The HGH skull of a 45-year-old. A thick, wide skull. A la Joe Rogan. That took me out of the whole film for Gambit.
Yeah, it looked like the headpiece was struggling to fit. Like,
it took me, like, Channing Tatum looks like a Greek god.
Thing is,
in his young.
Yeah, but now he's gotten so big that when he puts that shit on, he looks kind of fat. Like,
exactly, he still looks good, but him in the Channing helmet with this 45-year-old head, oh man, it just looks fucking kooky. It looks kooky as hell. It just does not look good. I tried to take my mind out of it in several points, and I was like, no, it's fine. But then I thought back to Xmen 97, and I was like, Gambit had a slim head, not this fat shit. It was so... and I couldn't. I just couldn't deal with it. So, yeah, it did not look good. I think if the helmet had, like, if the black was closer to the front of his face, it would have looked better. But too much of the black was receding towards his ears that it exposed this fat fucking white face, and it just looked bad. It looked horrible. Yeah, if the black was closer to his, like, nose, like, it would have been better. Not what we got.
Yeah.
It's just fat fucking face.
Full disclosure though, man, I was worried when they brought out all these characters, because the last time Deadpool had a big team of dudes, they all died. So I'm just thinking, oh no, man. They're bringing them out and they're gonna die horribly. Which would make sense, because, like, let them have one last hurrah before they go. I'm just thinking, damn, they're all gonna die here, aren't they?
Exactly. Like, it was such a... It was a blessing that they didn't decide to, Deadpool 2 this and just kill them all off. They had their moments to shine, Gambit had his Creole scenes of unintelligible gibberish, and, he had his superhero scenes. So did Blade. Yeah. So did Elektra, I guess. I think if we're speaking power set, Elektra is the weakest there.
She's just,
Like,
not to diminish
I
Electra
know
Nachos,
Elektra
but she's just a chick with
has
knives.
some weird. Yeah, like, okay, at maximum, Elektra has training with the hand, right? At maximum. She doesn't have a serum. She doesn't.
But bruh, let's be real. Let's be real. You would substitute her for Laura X-23 if you needed like backup in a fight. If you had to choose between X-23 or Electro with all her years of training, you would gladly take X-23.
You know, because, you know, at least with, you know, Weapon X and, you know, X2 or whatever, you know, they have adamantium, and for some reason that kind of gives you, oh, okay, I guess also being a product of being a mutant genetically, you are predispositioned to some form of super strength.
Yeah.
You know, some form.
Bro, that doesn't...
Maybe
I was
not
about
like
to say...
John Walker.
Right there, you're right. Because with, in the comics, when Logan gets that adamantium, it's like, yeah, his claws are unbreakable now, but it slows him down. It's really fucking heavy. The only reason he can even move is because he has that super strength about him. So with Laura being a little kid, when she got the adamantium, I'm like, how is she able to move so quickly and so fluidly? Like, you're just a kid. So, like, your muscles ain't there yet. So,
like, she can, even without the claws, she can rip a guy's arm off. You know, at bare minimum, she's as strong as an adult chimpanzee, which can already just demolish a human being. And you add that to, firstly, her mutation, secondly, her, like, adamantium skeleton. She's a monster. She could probably kill Captain America, you know.
Yeah.
Probably. Maybe even John Walker.
Definitely John Walker, man. What the... Let's be real.
I mean, hey, man, if you've watched Thunderbolts,
I've seen Thunderbolts.
Arguments that can be made for Steve versus John. I'm telling you right now.
Man.
I wasn't a believer of this. Believe me, I was a Steve Rogers truther. But, man, after watching Thunderbolts, I don't know. There are arguments.
There are bad arguments, man, with John Walker and his cheap-ass shield. Like, what the...
The thing is, right, I think sometimes we are, you know, misguided from I think sometimes we're misguided from what we remember from Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Because when it comes to that TV show, we saw John, he did pretty poorly, you know, even against, like, Dora Milaje and, you know, certain other flag smashers and stuff. And then eventually, you know, Sam and Bucky. But I don't know, maybe if it's the way that, like, directors wrote each character or whatever it is. But it seems like John got a buff. And I'll explain why. If you've seen the movie, you know that, like, in the beginning or very early in the movie, first 20 minutes or so, they find themselves in the same, like, underground shadow organization base, whatever, and they fight. Yeah. That's the same fight that kills off Taskmaster.
That was some bullshit.
In that scene.
The disrespect is real around here. That was some bullshit. Taskmaster went out like a bitch, and I hated it. I fucking hated that shit. It is.
But now, I don't know. You can call it an agenda. You can. But now, even in that movie, you had Yelena, and, you know, clearly she's using modern day Black Widow gear and stuff since being unsnapped. But she is pretty much using the entire arsenal that Natasha would have been using in any Avengers movie. And then she has a 1v1 with John Walker and stuff. She gives him those Black Widow thingies, those stingers, venom stingers, whatever you want to call it. And that nigga not only grits his teeth and removes them while fighting, but he proceeds to throw them and continue to fight her and overpower her. These are the same venom stingers, whatever you want to call them, that slowed down T'Challa from catching up to Bucky. Was it Bucky right there?
It was Bucky. They were at the airport, and it was like, yeah.
So it slowed him down every single time that he had to get on his knees. And a person like John Walker fought through it, bared his teeth and just threw it to the side like, this is bullshit, get this shit off of me. Now, I'm not coming to any conclusions, but that's a bit crazy for John Walker.
So you're trying to say John Walker on Super Soldier Serum is right up there, maybe even surpassing T'Challa on Heart-Shaped Herb?
I'm not saying much. I'm just calling it like it is. You know. Now, unfortunately, a lot of the lore tends to be loosey-goosey because it's not really like expanded upon or spoken to in further detail. But when you look at the basic MCU interpretation of the Super Soldier Serum, it enhances the physical stats of who you are currently. Now, with that bare bones logic, a person like person like Steve Rogers, who was like 90 pounds soaking wet, probably could barely, lift 20 kgs. That made him into Captain America. Now, per the very basically explained, I think it would have been better had it been, said in detail what exactly they mean. But as per the surface level description, the serum enhances who you currently are, both in physicality and in personality. Hence why we got Red Skull. Hence why every good part of Steve became Captain America. But if we take...
True.
If we remove the...
But there hasn't been another Captain America now, has there?
Yeah, so if you take if you take like the mental aspect of it takes you or makes it better and the bad parts of you worse and whatever. If you take that and leave the physical stats, Steve, 90 pounds soaking wet Steve, and John, the peak human John, Purple Heart John, testing off the charts John. Steve and John are starting off in two ridiculously different scales. Completely different scales. Now, as per, again, the surface level description of what the serum does in the MCU, per that, what it did was it enhanced what Steve was, and it enhanced what John was. So, if you're talking about the serum as an enhancer that does not have a simple baseline, you know, not like, okay, you take it, all of you are the same strength. If it just enhances you from where you are, then John Walker naturally has to be stronger. That's just the facts. If, you know, when the day comes when they expand on what the serum is, that's just what it is. John was already peak human, you know.
Yeah,
decorated,
he was already in shape. He was in the army.
Gifted,
yeah.
You know, tested off the charts. Him with the serum is a monster. A monster who's punching brick and concrete, as we saw in the TV show. But it's not just that. The most impressive showing for John is in Thunderbolts, when he does that vertical leap.
While carrying two people, mind you.
Yeah, even when he first, like, was testing it out, like, we've never seen any super soldier do that.
Yeah,
like,
with that
in
jump,
the Avengers, Steve barely, like, he barely was able to reach, like, the top of that, like, level within the helicarrier, that, like, secret, like, level where the Hydra were buried. Like, he barely made the jump. Like, he jumped and he barely. One could argue, yes, he didn't put a lot of power into the jump. But the ridiculous scales of difference in jump power that we've ever seen, this motherfucker John Walker is doing Spiderman jumps. And we all know Steve and Peter are not in the same realm of power sets. This guy's doing fucking Incredible Hulk jumps. He's jumping in the air like he's flying, like he's taking off, like Andy's. Like he has the power of flight. This motherfucker's in the air for like 15 seconds. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? He's doing that. And he's just chilling, like he wasn't trying. And he was hurt. Like, what do you mean? That for me, that's ridiculous.
Don't forget that he fell for like 15 seconds and brushed that shit off.
Yeah. It made me look at him in a different light of power. I was like, okay, cool. Can Bucky do that? I don't know. I mean, he probably can jump pretty high. I mean, they all can.
I mean, that scene with the Humvee, where he took out all those Humvees, and that where he grabbed the tow cable, just planted that shit in the ground. But there's a problem with that scene, because with that scene, you have to ask, was that his super soldier strength doing that, or was that his metal arm that allowed him to plant that?
Who knows? Perhaps, not even perhaps, you would assume it is. The power of the Winter Soldier is his robot arm on top of his serum. But what we do know is that his serum is weaker because it was given to him by
Hydra.
That guy. Yeah, that scientist guy.
Yeah, TV head. Yeah, that was weird. That was so weird. Like, cause when I first saw him, I thought that was MODOK. Like, I thought, okay, we're not gonna get proper MODOK, cause that would be too weird. You know, the big head with the little arms and shit. I thought this is the next best thing. So when I saw him, he was a fucking TV head. I was like,
it was like a 1940s version, and
it was weird. It was like
apparently that like the character, like it like in the comics, the character that does become that, but it's such an obscure thing.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh wait,
it was just this black and green screen of like, it was like a 70s computer that like talking and shit, and it was so bizarre though, because that computer wouldn't work like that, because there would have to be a camera in the room that he's watching from. He wouldn't be like watching Steve through the screen like he does in there.
Like there's no webcams on him.
Yeah.
That room hasn't been entered in like 50 years, save for a couple days prior. There's no webcam. But
Yeah.
he's watching him through like a TFT screen. Like, okay, whatever.
But that made no
It's
sense.
suspension of disbelief. What can you say?
Yeah, whatever. Just if they had said that he was an AI with the memories of so and so of Doctor Whatever, okay, I would buy that.
Yeah.
But they somehow managed to take his mind and put it in the computer, like scan his brain and put it in there. It's like,
do you know, like, the amount of binary that would be contained in a human mind? There's probably more numbers than there are stars in the sky. Yet, somehow, they managed to fit all this source information, all this coding,
in this old-ass
reams
computer.
of tape.
Bruh.
Yeah, just reams of tape in a glorified, like a data center, but like a data center that's probably smaller than the moon landing, but they're talking about putting a brain. So, hey, it's Marvel. What can you do?
Yeah. Can't do nothing, man. Like, even back then, there was some questionable things, but we let it slide because the movies were just that good. Nowadays, nah. This needs explanation.
Now it's
Oh, on the subject of Cap, while we're on the subject of Captain America, with Brave New World, I'm just glad they finally explained that giant hand sticking out of the ocean. I'm finally glad they decided to finally, after years, explain what the fuck is going on with that celestial sticking out of the earth.
Yeah, I get that. Are you impressed by adamantium?
No.
Was it like a compound? Was it just like a simple?
Yeah, it was just
close the chapter?
With this, I get why they did it. They needed to incorporate Celestial Island into the script somehow. Like, what is on this island that all these nations would want and possibly risk World War III for? And they can't be vibranium, because we had a whole movie that established the only place you get vibranium is Wakanda and Talokan, and they don't know about Talokan. So that was the only option left. Adamantium. It's like, okay, adamantium is a newly discovered element, which doesn't make sense. So, okay, wait a minute. If this is a newly discovered element, that means there's no Wolverine. Or if there is Wolverine, he doesn't have adamantium yet. He's just out there with bone claws.
Or, here's a funnier thought. If there is a Wolverine and there is an adamantium, then the Xmen has been killing and they've been killing and harvesting celestial bodies for years to make materials that are strong enough to wage battle with. And Wolverine somehow, someway got all of this adamantium that was, because again, if you truly think about it, there are traces of alien life forms across the world. Life forms that have existed even before us, even before we were cave people. You have to imagine how many people have discovered things that human civilizations have yet to uncover. And they call it, we just discovered this. Now, granted, in the movie, of course, that was branded as a brand new discovery because it was a dead celestial. But who knows? Who knows where else you can get adamantium? Who knows if, because again, it might not just be that it is the celestial, but it's what, I don't know her character, I'll still call her Cersei, but it's what Cersei turned it into. Not that it was that. She turned it into it. So there's that too. You know, because if you're gonna turn something into something else, shouldn't you know what the something else is before you turn something into it? You know what I mean?
I get what you're trying to say.
Like,
I
it
think
poses a question.
I think you may be reading too much into this, but I
But like, what are the odds? Because there's no way. Okay, it's either this. Okay, we know this MCU is gonna end. It's literally gonna get deleted, which means eventually the aspect of a celestial being the source of adamantium, it won't matter anymore. Because when Marvel is rebooted, adamantium will just be another asteroid, and humans will have had it for several years. You know, shadow groups would have had it for several years. So you can either be on the side of thinking that it won't matter in a few years anyway, because we're going to get rebooted, or you can say to yourself, okay, if this is where it comes from, there's no way in hell we're going to have an X-Men with a bony Wolverine. He has to have some metal, and they're not going to make it like aluminum or, vibranium. You know, I think when you think of adamantium, it's very synonymous with Wolverine. So if they're still going to have an X-Men, which I doubt, because Secret Wars is going to have Fox X-Men battling Avengers. So I don't think in this current regime of Marvel, we are ever going to see a brand new X-Men team. I think the next time you see a brand new X-Men team with a fresh cast, it will be from a rebooted universe. That's just what it is. So the aspect of a celestial head or body being the source of adamantium, it won't matter anymore. It'll be null and void. It'll be a product of the old universe. So you're one of two ways of thinking. It won't matter, or Cersei had to have known what adamantium was to turn it into adamantium. Either way.
Either way, it's a shit show. Just yeah. Either way, it just yeah.
It is Cersei. Okay, cool. I thought I was getting that wrong the entire time. I thought Cersei was Jolie's character, but it's not.
Nah, that's Cena.
Get much on. Yeah. So I don't know, dude. I'm not gonna turn a nigga into a material I've never experienced or known in my life. And I go, damn, what the fuck did I turn him into? What the fuck is that? Damn, I don't know what that is. That's crazy. Anyway, man, you be easy. Peace.
Peace out, man.
It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I honestly don't know, man. It's just it feels like you said, bro. Like you said, too little, too late. This like you said, we can't introduce a new crop of X-Men, like, cause then you'd have to explain where the fuck they've been all this time, which that ain't gonna happen. Also,
because the MCU is like, they're almost 30 years into the superhero shit. Actually, what year are they in?
2027.
Yeah, you see, and they're almost 2028 now. So that's like 20 years, because Iron Man 2008. One could argue it's like 2007, who knows. Different comics. Fury's Big Week, all that shit. But it's been 20 years now since, Tony Stark announced himself as a meta-human, and things began to happen after that. Because I feel like the world was semi-peaceful up until that point. Obviously the Hulk had also debuted. But, like, where were you guys for 20 years? Battle in New York? Fucking what is it, dog elves? Dog, whatever.
They existed.
So many things happened.
They in Nick Fury's original monologue in the first Iron Man, he goes. It's longer. He talks about like as if gamma accidents, radioactive bug bites, and assorted mutants weren't enough. I have to deal with you.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Mm.
So in a way, they were there.
Yeah.
You could retcon that and say that Nick Fury was keeping them secret when he was still the head of Shield.
Yeah. I think ultimately Feige realized very, very, very early then that I can't use this without paying it off eventually. And hey, if you look at back then, it was probably a tough decision because Spider-Man was still Tobey Maguire, and they didn't know what they'd be able to do with Fox if they ever allowed them to have X-Men. So they cut their losses pretty early. But if they ever use that scene as canon, it will be a saving grace slightly, but also it just won't make sense for the timeline because Spider-Man was not Spider-Man at that point. He was a little boy. Peter Parker was like 5 years old back then.
Yeah.
And you know, if you cut out the spiders bit, okay, that's fine. So what was Charles doing? Was he like doing a mental psychic mind warp mind thingy? Like what was he doing for 20 years? What was he doing? You know, they'll call them useful. No, they'll call them useless before they call them heroes. So what the fuck have they been doing?
Same question when the Eternals came out, man.
Yeah. Like, yeah. That movie is so unfortunate. I think Chloe Zhao tried, but ultimately her style was too stylized for Marvel. It was too much. It was too, you know, artistic. She's a good director, but she's not good for superhero movies. And I respect the unsuccessful. I have to say the unsuccessful attempt to say, well, you know, we could have fought Thanos, but we're not allowed to intervene or whatever, as per, you know, the higher ups. But it's like, okay. I mean, I guess, but then the same movie, you just kind of break bad. So what was the point? You know, you've been upholding the stance for millennia, and now you break bad because like half the world got snapped or whatever, and your cousin Thanos went crazy. Like what's the deal? It just seems empty. So you know, it's still not a good enough rationale, and it definitely breaks apart your narrative at this point to have that kind of like rationale that, oh, you know, they were waiting, or they were avoiding, they were hiding, they were just kind of ruins it. It's too late.
Except for that one guy, Druig, he had his own like city.
The guy in what?
That one guy, Druig, he had like a city of people he was mind controlling.
Oh yeah, the cult.
Yeah.
That could have been interesting, but it didn't do much.
Yeah. That just served to make him look creepy. Like,
you could have had a random mutant child in that village. You know, some sort of mutant child who doesn't know they're a mutant or knows or whatever, and discovers their power while trying to either defend Druig or fight against the deviants. Like, the way you tie these things in could have been interesting had it been back then, but it's too late now.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, you know, like just the slapdash nature of it all, because you can tell they had no plans. Like Kevin Feige really wanted to do something with X-Men, but he didn't know what to do. That's what it.
Oh yeah,
That's the biggest problem with this. He wanted to do something with them, but he didn't know what to do.
and it's unfortunate because you definitely see his like admiration. The X-Men. I mean, he began as a second unit producer, and you can definitely see that there were so many points where he felt like he could fold them in, but it just never worked because of, again, the element of rights. Like, you look at a movie like Age of Ultron, that movie and Civil War had very capable elements of adding either the Charles Xavier mansion, and mutants, or just mutant kind. Those movies are very capable of doing that. But you just couldn't do that at the time. There's a lot of points you could have had that. A lot of points.
It's a damn shame, man. It's a damn shame. Though I wonder, given everything that's going on now, that we're heading into Avengers Doomsday, it's been a year since Robert Downey Jr. was announced as Doctor Doom. Now that you've had a year to sit on it, I must wonder, how do you feel?
That one is still bad. I'm not even gonna lie. I know, we have a dozen theory videos to chew on until the actual movie comes out, or even trailer. You have a lot of videos to chew on, but the aspect of Howard Stark losing, baby Tony, and them adopting, obviously they don't even know, but them adopting Victor Von Doom, and, the character we've been watching for 2 decades actually being Victor Von Doom, living out the life that Tony Stark should have lived. It's the best saving grace that they could pull, but all it is to rationalize them using their meal ticket to sell one more movie to us. That's all it is. It's one big giant rationale. Like, whatever they come up with, be it this theory or otherwise, it's just to sell tickets. Like that's all it is. Like, we didn't need RDJ to come back as Doctor Doom. We could have had Mads freaking Mikkelsen as Doctor Doom. We could have had fucking Daniel Craig. I know he was supposed to be bolder, but we even could have had Daniel Craig, or for people who are very big sticklers on this, we could have had a Romani actor. Who that is, I don't know, because I don't know Romani actors, but it's fine. Whatever actor we could have had, I wouldn't have been mad at RDJ's return if it was Iron Man or Superior Iron Man or whatever. But the fact that they made him Doctor Doom was just so lazy.
It was desperate. It was desperation, man. Marvel was backed into a corner and they didn't know what to do. So they went to the well and they pulled out Old Faithful.
Yeah. This whole thing with Jonathan Majors, I know it made them very desperate. And it definitely made them have to think on their toes. But I'll just say right now, God, Marvel cannot fucking think on their toes. They cannot. They if it comes down to, when you're in a position for so long, you start to not do a good job in that position than what you would have had you first arrived. I think a 35-year-old Kevin Feige probably would have been able to do a much better job than this current 52-year-old Kevin Feige or whatever, however old he is. I just think he's been in this position for so long. There's so much expected of him, and he's trying hard to polish a turd when he could have just cleaned up everything and used something brand new.
Yeah.
That's like honestly, there was no need whatsoever to use RDJ. There wasn't. Use the element of RDJ.
Would you call it stunt casting?
Them announcing it the way they did at Comic-Con and the big reveal. It's purely for a specific end game. No pun intended. It's very clearly, okay, if they're gonna go out, they're gonna go out with a bang, right? Okay, cool. What bigger bang to go out in than RDJ? The same person who gave us our previous bang, which is Endgame. I just feel like it's lazy. And as much as I try to like it and think of it, I just don't. I don't like it. I don't care if we've been watching a Victor Von Doom variant, living the life of the adopted son. I don't give a fuck. It's still lazy to me. I think Tony is just Tony. I don't need him to have passed away in the womb or whatever it is, and we've never actually met Tony Stark. I don't need any of that. We just could have used a different Doom altogether. Because they clarified, it's not Tony Stark as Dr. Doom.
Yeah, it's not a Tony Stark variant. Doom. Yeah, it's Victor Von Doom. Yeah,
exactly. They went out of their way to clarify. This isn't a Stark variant. This is Victor Von Doom, born from a witch mother, master of the mystic arts, a top 3 intellect in Marvel. I don't like that. I just really don't like that. But my personal feelings aside, I hope the movie is decent, considering we are already in reshoot city and unfinished script territory. That is already not good. Alan Cumming not knowing who he's fighting against is not good.
Mm-hmm.
It almost leaves a bad taste in your mouth, because you're seeing your favorite universe, your favorite intellectual property. You're seeing it before your very eyes, turning it into the very thing that it used to go up against.
Oh, yeah.
It's sad. It's sad. But people our age have very much emotionally detached from any notion of, it's going to do bad. Oh, how horrible. It's fucking whatever at this point. We'll see it. We'll judge it. If it flops, it flops. If it does good for it. But the excitement for it. It's...
I would say there's more confusion than excitement for it, because this gotta be the first Marvel project we really don't know what's going on.
Yeah. It's something. It really is something. And, I mean, I don't know if you've seen... Do you plan on watching Fantastic Four? In theaters?
Nah, it's not looking like it.
So you'll watch it in HD and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, do you know what happens at the end of the movie?
No, not really. I've been trying like to play avoid spoilers for that shit. I just want to see it, straight up. It was the one thing I was looking forward to. That and Superman. Those are the two movies I was looking forward to.
I think it was about phase 5.
We're in phase 5, right? Yeah.
Yeah. If the movie performs well, it performs well. If it doesn't, we'll judge it, and that'll be it. There's nothing else to do, because it's pretty much the end. It's the last of it.
If by some miracle, if by some miracle, the MCU pulls a comeback of the decade and they chug on to phase 7 instead of doing a hard reboot, will you stick around for that?
One of the things that would make a continuance work is a time skip. Now, part of that is to age up a couple of the characters to what their comic ages are in certain places. For starters, you would need to make Toussaint at least 20, I think. Bare minimum 20 is the age that he needs to be to become a Black Panther, to inherit the mantle. If he's 20, you can have an actor who's 33 playing him, even at Downton ages, even though he's mostly looked at as an actual T'Challa, not a junior. You would need, because again, time skip. Time skip will bring the Maximoff twins into their prime years. Basically, a time skip will bring the heroes who need to become mainline Avengers into Avengers, while quietly retiring the older Avengers, like Hulk. I think Doctor Strange can still be an Avenger, because he's just magic, and he's whatever. He can be old and still be magic.
Wouldn't it be Wong? Because still Sorcerer Supreme.
Exactly. Now, a person like, what's that girl's name? Let's call her Stars Girl, right? A person like Stars Girl, I don't know where she belongs in the universe.
Oh yeah. America Chavez. What the fuck happened to that anyway?
Exactly.
Where the hell did she even go?
You see, she's one of those characters where people say she's the only version of herself in the entire multiverse. She has no variance. So, wherever she goes is where she is. So, you're not going to get another version of her unless she comes back. That's the problem. Where she is currently, we don't know. Where she was last time, training in a sanctum, not Pleaker Street, obviously. I want to assume she was training in Tibet, somewhere in the mountains.
No. It was all sunny and bright.
You know, point is, she's somewhere that's like not even in North America, but wherever she is learning hand-to-hand combat. Why? I don't know. Her powers, I think, are sufficient enough for her not to need that, but for some reason she is.
You have
Why
the
is she
power to
learning
create
from?
wormholes between universes. Why are you learning hand to hand?
Why she's learning that from sorcerers and not actual kung fu masters? I don't know. Because I don't even think Doctor Strange fight with Hawkeye. So whatever Tibetan fighting moves they're learning there, they're not gonna be Batman. They're just not. They're not even gonna be top 10 in their own universe. So
Yeah,
I
the
am
same League of Shadows up in here.
there. But right now, she could be in the Toad Maguire universe, and we never know.
Don't
Which is
forget
strange.
Clara. What's her name? Clara? Cleo? Stranger's wife.
Clea.
Yeah. Clea, yeah, she
Clea,
showed up at the
the
end.
daughter of Dormammu.
Yeah, she
That
showed up
one
at the end.
is not gonna go anywhere. A waste of Charlize Theron. A waste of paying her like what, $1 million for a cameo because she's like an A-lister. A waste of it. A complete waste. That was supposed to be in Doctor Strange 3. That movie is for sure not happening. Considering we're to get the last Marvel movies before the reboot next year, or next year. We're not getting Doctor Strange 3, so we're not getting Clea as the Sorcerer Supreme or whatever, which sucks. Wong is probably someone who has some longevity, just like Doctor Strange. You know, Hawkeye is turning 70 at that point, so he's not going to be around. It'll be Bishop.
Yeah,
It'll
Wong,
just have to be
him and
Bishop.
Madison. You remember that weird point in time at like the She-Hulk show? Everybody loved the character Madison, and they were like, "Hey, y'all should do a spin-off with Wong and Madison and have them like go on adventures and shit." Like,
she called them Wongers or something.
yeah,
I don't know.
I
wasn't mad at that. That was a little bit funny, you know.
It was
It was
funny,
like
but like not funny enough to warrant. Hey, let's give this character more screen time. We don't need another Agatha
exactly.
all along
It's
up in
like
here.
it's like Joey is funny in Friends, but he doesn't deserve his own TV show. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of liked season 1 of the Joey Show.
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, but it wasn't Friends.
The main point is,
Yeah.
I don't mind if they bring her back. She could be a girlfriend. I actually have no idea what their relationship is. I have no idea.
Dude. I was feeling the same thing. Are they dating? Are they friends? Like,
there's no. That's the thing. There's no indication of sorts that there's a romantic element, because I'm sure she would have kissed him in the cheek or forehead, or he would have. I don't know.
yeah, but she clearly likes him though.
I mean, I guess she does, but like, I don't know. I would probably be surprised, but not surprised, if in like another movie or Wong appearance, he's getting married to Madison. Like in the next Spider-Man movie, you know, it's like Wong's waiting or something, like a little subplot, 2 minutes. It's Wong's waiting, simple stuff. Spider-Man's invited, but you know, he's showing up in a mask because they don't know his face. So that would be a quick little funny gag, you know, for the man who's pretty much attended a lot of weddings. It's high time he had his own wedding.
Oh yeah. On the subject of Spider-Man, Spider-Man Brand New Day, or Avengers 4.5, technically, given who all the people in it.
Too squashed. The suit is nice. I love that they're filming in the public gives that aura of like a real life Spider-Man. That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's very cool.
What the fuck is Spider-Man doing fighting tanks? Because you remember the photo that leaked was him on top of a tank. Like, what the fuck is up with that?
Yeah.
That's gonna be weird.
I think, where did I read this? I read on Reddit.
No, because it's not like, I don't know, there's cops looking for him or anything. I mean, that shit was cleared up in No Way Home, but at the same time, it's like, it's a tank. That's a bit of an escalation.
No. What that scene specifically is Spider-Man being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I think I read somewhere, it was either Reddit or Quora, I'm not sure. But I read that he's stopping the Scorpion and some other villains. I don't know, I think they stole some military gear and stuff, so they have a couple tanks, and how they got that, I don't know, but he's stopping them because they're wreaking havoc in New York and stuff, and, you know, typical save for Spidey, everyone's happy, you know, everyone's cheering him on, they love him, and he's in college, and, you know, MJ, the real MJ, like, what the fuck does that even mean? You know, Sadie Sink, I don't understand that entire, like, deal, you know, if she'll be a Gwen Stacy or
a Gwen Stacy with red hair.
You see, like that's the thing, you know, it's like they're trying to sneakily elude that this is the real MJ, and I don't appreciate that. I really don't appreciate that.
Honestly, bro, I laughed when I was watching Spider-Man Homecoming, and like they said like her name is Michelle Jones, and like they said like her name was Michelle. They didn't say her name yet, but at the very end they said her name is Michelle Jones, but my friends call me NJ. I was like, oh, fuck you. Oh, that movie got me, man. I wasn't mad that MJ is black. I don't care that MJ is black. I care that the whole movie, it was like this character was hidden, and then at the end it was like Michelle Jones, but my friends call me MJ. I was like, oh, fuck you, man.
Yeah, one could say like we saw it coming because she was like the purported love interest, but it was like, okay, this might be an original character, but you know, obviously we know what it became. One could say that a person like John Watts, he might have rolled himself into a corner with that, because they clearly want to use MJ in these college years, but I don't know. Like, we already have her, and I doubt they want to go back to Zendaya so quickly after No Way Home. You know, like,
it would undermine that plot point.
You know, like they just kissed goodbye, and, you know, give him some time to like see her out and about in her independence before joining them together again and stuff. But now it's like, okay, so who's this redhead? Is this redhead actually Mary Jane Watson? So I don't know. It was like definitively Gwen Stacy, but you know, it being Sadie Sink, it kind of vindicated a lot of like, you know, racist boys who didn't like Zendaya as MJ because she's black, and you know, Sadie kind of saved them. You know, like it saved their mythos. it saved their mythos from, this sort of wokeness. But, at the same time, it creates these weird holes now. Because why the hell did he date a girl named MJ who had no relation to MJ, and then now there's a new girl called MJ? I don't know. It doesn't make sense.
I don't know. It does make sense, but like the much like the addition of Frank Castle, Daredevil, the Hulk, Mr. Negative, Scorpion, it's like Yelena is now in here too. So it's like, why though? For a
That
Spider-Man
tells
movie, it's
me-
very crowded.
I think what that tells me is that Florence Pugh has a 2-minute cameo where she's trying to recruit Spider-Man into the new Avengers, and he is flat out either denying her or just like ducking her at every turn. That's what that tells me. It's the same way everyone was like, oh yeah, Anthony Mackie's an Ant-Man. But he was just there for a quick scene. So yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it is what it is. We'll see it when it happens. That's all we can really say on the matter.
Yeah. Although it's strange that they had mentioned that they want to introduce the Osborns, but
Which doesn't make sense.
if you do that, then you have to have industries, and, it's not like this world is the same world as Friendly Neighborhood.
Bro, you can't just... Also, in No Way Home, dude said Oscorp doesn't exist. So,
Exactly.
also,
So
like,
that's the problem.
how long has it been since
They've
fucking No
written
Way Home?
themselves.
You're not just gonna sprout up a fucking skyscraper over the course of like a year and then say, whammo,
Yeah.
We now have Oscorp.
I think what would have made No Way Home interesting is if there was a Norman Osborn of the MCU who Peter never really had any interactions with, because again, Harry Osborn, if you look at the history of comic, had Oscorp had been a thing, it would have been interesting to see a Norman try and walk in and claim ownership of Oscorp. And they say, brother, we have no idea who the hell you are. This is Norman Osborn. And it's either a picture of a random white guy or it's Coleman Domingo. And they like escort this crazy white guy out of the... It's like this person is an identical variant. He's taking over as Norman Osborn. And then the real Osborn of this world, he is like, wait, what the fuck? But that's me. But what? That's like an interesting thing that they could have done. Like an element of, stolen identity. But instead, they chose to very much go with the fact that it does not exist. Like, it's not a company that's ever existed. It's not ever gonna exist. The whole aspect of, Osborn Industries or whatever you want to call it, it's not a thing. It's not a thing that has ever existed. So, you see, with saying things like that, you write yourself into a corner very quickly. Because the next time you need that thing, you won't be able to use it without a valid explanation. And I think that's why Tom Holland did not like working with John Watts a lot. Like you'll see in said photos, and you'll hear in online forums. You definitely, even before you read the behind the scenes stuff, you see in the body language alone that Tom Holland is very happy to be working with Dustin Day. He's jumping up and down. He's happy. He's smiling. People, and then now for the insider information, people who are around those scenes can very much confirm that Tom is stoked to be working with Dustin, and it's a breath of fresh air. And he hasn't been excited about a Spider-Man movie like this in years. Obviously, No Way Home is its own excitedness because you're working with previous Spider-Man, but just as an actor looking forward to your movie, apparently he has not been excited for that for years because of John Watts. And now that he's with Dustin, a person who is so-called creative, he has this restored exuberance and excitedness for the mythos, and he's excited for where it goes. So what that means could be anything. It could mean that Dustin is more creative, he has more ideas for the Spider-Man mythos, but more importantly, he's not gonna ride himself into a fucking wall like John Watts did at every single turn. So I think that's mostly what it is.
On the upside, we know this one isn't going to end on a cliffhanger, given that the universe seems to be coming to an end after Phase 6.
Yeah. In some capacity, it's gonna tie up loose ends. Obviously, they did say, even though the universe is coming to an end in terms of as we know it, there are elements of the universe that will break through into the new universe. Now, part of that could be Spider-Man. Spider-Man can still be Tom Holland. He might be older in the new universe, to make space for Miles. Who knows?
They can't use Miles Morales.
Yeah, because of Sony and stuff, but even apart from that, Miles is not really the kind of person you introduce to Peter's early college years. Early college years, Peter is dealing with Gwen Stacy, Hobgoblin, Norman Osborn. It's not it's not a story that intertwines with the story of a Miles Morales. A Miles Morales needs a seasoned Peter Parker. Not to say that our Tom is not seasoned, but he's younger than us when he should be the same age as us at minimum. So he's not gonna get his Miles. He's far from Miles right now, given he's younger than even us.
Folks, what a podcast that was. Always, it's always wonderful to have great guest joins on the show. I am surprised, deeply surprised, that we are in the 75th episode. Count them, 75. Holy soap. Of all the episodes we've had so far, I've never thought we would get this far on MKP. Well, I figured we'd get far. I just didn't think we'd get this far, because when you're sitting down discussing things on episode 1, you don't think, gee, I wonder where we're going to be by episode 75. It's not something that really crosses your mind because you're in the moment. But yeah, speaking of the moment, in the moment, the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in a strange place. And, in the world, we are in a strange place. But that doesn't mean it has to stay that way. So, yeah, we can all lock in and, hold each other. We can hold each other accountable when we mess up. We can hold each other when we need a holding. We can just hold each other up when it seems like we're going down. There's all this things that we can do to help out one another. And I don't want to turn into some like after school special type situation, but like it seems like that's the direction this is going. But yeah, anyway, if you made it this far, I just want you to know I appreciate you. I greatly appreciate you sticking it out this long and listening to me yammer on towards the end. This has been a great episode. The MCU, discovered in all its facets, Deadpool and Wolverine discovered in spoilerific detail. I wanted to do a spoiler review, but I guess for now this is what'll have to be. As much as I like to hear myself yammer on and on, I really don't. It's not something I enjoy doing. I always enjoy when I got a friend on or I have a guest on their show. Those are the only podcasts I mostly put up because those are the most fun. If you can't do it with a friend, is it really something you enjoy doing? You know? Okay, that's not entirely true. I know there's some things I could enjoy doing by myself, but you know, I'm grateful that I got people I can bring on this show. I'm grateful there's conversations, that varied topics we can bring on, and I can show to you, dear listeners. Thank you to you, Moonlight Citizens, for always being here. I thank you. I appreciate you. I acknowledge you because at the end of the day, we all need each other, and we're glad to be in each other's lives, really, whether we admit it or not. There's that person deep down inside that hey, though I don't need you, I'm glad you're here. Or, I do need you, but at the same time, even if I didn't, I'm glad you're here. And, I need you guys, and girls and everybody else, I need you in my life. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh, that's a little too far. That's some of that parasocial type business. But anywho, thank you. In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.